Call the meeting to order. Congratulations. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call for the record. Lawrence Davis.
Here.
Mark Manley is trying to log in.
Okay.
Alvin Riley,
Here.
Jeff Gilmer,
Here.
Glenn Tillery. That was a yes.
Bert Lehman.
Patrick Sharrow.
Here.
And then we got Bert. Mike Provine. No, Mike?
Yeah, Mike's on.
Yes, Mike. Okay.
And
And
then guest is,
Jean Quist. Very well.
and we have a guest who's part of the consulting firm Allison Rednauer is on also.
Very well. All right, we have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I would second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. We have minutes from March 13th. I assume that everybody has had an opportunity to look at them. I would call for if there is any discussion. If no discussion, I would ask for a motion to approve minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from 13th.
I would second that. All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, minutes approved.
Mr. Chairman, the other two past minutes, two dates, those minutes are gonna be forthcoming next week. To this panel and
All right,
to the village. We just got behind with a lot of things going on here, so.
we will move that to next meeting's agenda.
Yep.
Second item, I'd like to recognize our new member. Welcome, Gene.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Look forward to learning. Hey, Doc.
Well, that's, thank you very much. You want to introduce yourself or?
to the folks on Zoom up there.
Hi, I'm Gene Quist, just approved by the council to be on this committee and looking forward to learning a lot before I'm able to really pick up and get started. But this should be a great endeavor and look forward to it. Look forward to meeting everybody too. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, at most of this particular point in time, I'm gonna turn it over to Jeff. I think that he will have pretty much all of the information on the information that we need to share. I don't know that there's been a lot of changes, a few updates.
Okay, thank you. So for the voting members, if you do get called away, at this point, we have nothing else to discuss, to vote on, except for our next date. I think we appreciate what you guys are doing out there. So, but again, we don't want to tie you up especially since we got a late start. And for our consulting firm, we'll still plan on our post meeting to start as normal. So I'm gonna try to get through this pretty quickly. I really appreciate questions. If you have them out there and you want clarification on any of these items. So if I'm going too fast, slow me down, stop me, talk, ask some questions, and then we'll go from there. Actually, let's see, I wanna address a old business item that's not on here, and I'll consider it part of my report on the airport item F. I'll still have other items to talk about. But as of this morning, um, the Facebook page that has been in existence for the village and for the airport for quite a long time. I didn't realize it had been passed to the former manager, and he's now passing that to our folks that are in, what's the word I'm trying to look for, that are promotions. What am I looking for? Great, Brandon's is getting it.
Oh, our tourism.
Tourism, that is looking for tourism. Yeah, it'll be passed on to the tourism, but it's not just tourism, but it's overall just part of the promotions. So they're gonna be, I think they're actually in conference right now. They're gonna be picking that up, trying to find somebody to get to assign. The role of the airport for the manager and myself will be then feeding information to that person, whomever takes it over. And they'll be able to, so it's an administrator, they're just having to start a new administrator, and someone will be, well, feeding that. So Jackie, I know you're here, and that was an ask of yours, and Fraser is doing that right now. Do you have any questions?
Nothing to do with it.
No, you had an ask on the last meeting about this, so.
Well, I asked about the
Yeah.
Facebook page, but I wasn't sure what Fraser was gonna do, and that's fine.
Okay, yeah, so that's the update on that, just so you know that it isn't being dismissed or
looking
dropped
at-
off.
I was looking at A, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had skipped over to F just because it was on my mind. We were talking about communication. Okay, so item A, our transfer, our Colfax County Commission communications. I will tell you that I'm gonna let the consulting firm talk a little bit about this too, but the communications is still being loaded with the documentation. Some of these following items are gonna talk a little more in specific detail about those. And again, questions can be asked, but we continue to find our line of communication pretty open. There's some bottlenecks in a few places, in particular with the FAA. And one of the items that happened this week, I should say on Tuesday, a very formal letter from the county was voted on by the county commissioners and approved and sent to the FAA that allows the village and the consulting firm to talk directly. I'm going to use the word agent, that might not be the right word, as an agent for the county. The heartburn of the FAA is that only the county, as the way they like to say it, can talk to the FAA, leaving everybody else off the table. And we have been trying to resolve this now for 2 months. So the county actually stepped up with this letter, and we're going to see how this goes. So as far as communication goes, that's the narrowing point right now. We're hoping this will get resolved with this letter. And I'll be honest with you, if it's not, then we're going to elevate this until we get this pipeline fully open, so that we don't spend a lot of time looking for information that should be readily available. So with that, I want to turn it over. Patrick, do you want to grab this one and talk a little bit about where we're at?
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that. That was a good introduction to basically what I was going to talk about was, moving forward in this process, communication is going to be key, and we all see that. One of the things that had to begin the process was a formal letter from the county to the FAA stating that they were on board with a sponsored transfer. And there was also a letter that went from the village to the FAA. This was done back in, I think it was prior to December, and the FAA has acknowledged that those letters have been submitted and they are to the satisfaction of the FAA. So the next step, about a week and a half ago, we met with the FAA, and the sticky point was that the county was not able to show up to that meeting. So we couldn't move forward with communications because the county is still technically the sponsor, right? The FAA sponsor. So they're federally the sponsor of the airport. And without them there, representation from the county, the FAA couldn't speak with the village. So as Jeff was saying, that has been taken care of. They voted approved and the letter's been sent to the FAA. So that was a really big part of the process moving forward. In response to the initial letter that the village wrote to the FAA requesting the sponsor change, to start the process, there was some questions about how the village could satisfy grant assurances. So there's what we call federal grant assurances are attached with airports that are sponsored by the federal government. So Angel Fire does accept federal grants. Therefore, there are these grant assurances attached to them, stating things like you will keep the airport up to a public use airport. You can keep operations in a safe and operational manner. Things that there's a bunch of them. So we've drafted a letter of response, and that will go into the FAA on Friday. And then two other sections of kind of the housekeeping of this and the legal side that we will be meeting with the village's legal attorney on Friday to get these drafted up as well. But it's a statement, basically a legal opinion from the village's attorney to verify the sponsorship that the village is eligible to assume the sponsorship of the airport. So that will be just a legal statement saying that the village is legally, bound by the state of New Mexico as a public entity, able to yada yada yada. I'm not a good lawyer, but it's basically a statement that says that they're able to move forward. And the second one being a legal opinion from the village's attorney that says that the village is able to adhere and follow those grant assurances that we talked about a second ago. So those are the two things that we will be working with the attorney to get those drafted and sent to the FAA this week. So that's kind of where we're at with the communications and the legal proceedings. We were able to get on site last week. We had Guy Ruel on site out there who was able to meet with everybody and conduct a 5010 inspection. 5010 is what we call an airport master record inspection, where basically you look at everything. It's a holistic inspection of the airport, from airspace to runways to taxiways, everything that's out there. So that was conducted. The report will be drafted this week, and we'll have that as some backup. The next step of the process that we're working towards is we've been working on trying to get an airport layout plan drawing set with some CAD documents. A key part of this drawing set, so an ALP, when you have what we call a master plan, there's only a couple things that are approved by the FAA moving forward in your planning of the airport moving forward. It's kind of like your roadmap to the future, if you will. And one of those documents that's approved by the FAA is an airport layout plan. And that documents existing conditions, but it also documents your future plans for airport development as well. A key drawing in this document is what we call an Exhibit A. It's a airport property map. So we're trying to get our hands on the airport layout plan, but most importantly for right now that the FAA is looking for is an airport property map. And this property map has to follow certain rules and regulations. The FAA actually puts a standard operating procedure, they call it SOP 3.0, that lays out exactly step 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down through of what needs to be included in this drawing. So we are working on that. We have not been able to get a copy of those documents to date right now. So we'll have to keep working on getting those, or we'll have to see if one exists. If one doesn't, then we'll have to make one. But that's kind of where we are right now, working towards trying to get some of those documents together. And then another key area that we're looking at is to get with the county and get some airport revenue and expense data for a financial analysis, which is also required under the federal transfer process. We've started a checklist that we're working on in the background with the transfer committee, I'll call it. And we'll be updating you as we meet with the committee and things progress. But in the interest of time, is there any questions? That's pretty much where we're at today.
I don't have anything on offline.
Mr. Chairman and Jeff and all, Mike Provine with Molden Corbin. as far as the ALP drawing set, we'll have that to you all, I'm gonna say this afternoon, with the exception of we did meet with FAA on some comments on the Exhibit A. So we have some revisions to make to that document. We'll be making those over the next couple of days. They're fairly, the information's on the sheet. It's just getting it. What we have on the existing Exhibit A is the how the property value has been used as match, the county's match. They asked that be sent separated out onto a separate sheet, so we're working on that. And then the acquisition for the original property, make that a little clearer. Right now, it's in a note on that drawing, so we'll get that buttoned up quickly. And so I apologize for not getting that uploaded to you all. Knew that I was going to have comments back from FAA on the Exhibit A, so I held off. So I will get that to you ASAP.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will make a comment here, you're gonna find in the old business, we're gonna probably combine a lot rather than go down ABC on this, because we just combined A and B together and started item C with Mike. But I wanted to address one thing. Financials were asked for a couple of weeks ago from the county. We're looking at minimally 5 years to go back, Patrick. So we'll just have to keep that ask going at the county level with Manager Trujillo to see if we can get that going. I know they're short-staffed up there, but I would expect after 2 weeks we should have already seen it. So appreciate that reminder to remind them today. All right. Yeah.
Mike, do you have any additional report on the grant and master plan progress?
No, I don't. I'll check in with State Aviation on that. And report back to you.
So Mike, I know we've been corresponding back and forth for a bit, but and I know that field containment pad, we talked about that, and that's, I know, coming our way here in the next week or so. I want to ask you a question in an open forum like this. One of the things that were brought out is that when the fuel trucks show up to refuel those tanks, they're actually on native lands. There is no containment for the trucks, and there's no viable way after inspecting it that we can put those large fueling trucks into the containment pad that we're designing. So I think maybe what we might start to look at is a second grant, talk to state about a second grant to do the other side of those tanks for some sort of pad that EPA will sign off on for those trucks. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, those are good questions, Jeff. So when we first started this, we believe the rule is with the state that you need to contain the largest compartment in the truck that's being filled from the tanks, not the other way. So we need to verify that. So we're sizing a containment pad for 3,000 gallons. That's the largest compartment, if you will. It's actually your new truck. So we've got that in drafting right now. If we're looking at containing, I think we're talking like a 10,000 gallon truck, right? Or delivery. I don't know. We need to look into what this, maybe get a reading from the state on that environment, their fuel farm guys, to see what is the requirement, and make sure of that. Our design is accommodating the 3,000 gallons from loading from your fuel tanks to a truck. That's what we understand.
Right, correct. And that, absolutely, that would be a separate project. It's interesting that in all the reports that I can see, is one of the reasons I had to ask for all EPA reports, and we had that to state also. It seems to be they have trouble finding them. That's never been gigged. And I hate to open a can of worms.
Yeah.
You know, it's never been addressed that that other side was an issue. So I think we should probably run it down. And the reason why I don't want to get down the road in this sponsorship change and then the EPA, the Fed EPA show back up and say, well, you know, who's gonna take care of that issue? So that's kind of why I'm
Yeah.
addressing.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on there that we need to. It was my understanding also that the New Mexico Environment Division had the compliance, the regulatory authority on the fuel farm. But if you're talking about the stormwater pollution prevention plan with the federal EPA, I think that's where you're going, right?
Yes, sir. This
Okay,
is,
then we'll look into that through the SWIP requirement. Yeah, so it's best management practices too. So if that's a containment for when you get a delivery, that's a bigger issue, if you will. And I understand the concern. We'll need to look into that. Absolutely.
okay, and I think for the public and those watching are back, I'm reiterating what I'm saying, we're trying to make sure that we don't run into a snag on something coming at us sideways during
Yeah.
this sort of process, so.
Yeah, and I just our experience is we don't have at airports with fuel farms such as yours, we don't have that type of containment.
Okay, cool. That may be just the answer. Maybe
But,
the reason
well,
why it's never shown up.
I think your point is valid. Let's be sure.
And then Mike, I've got a question on the airport lighting. Where are we at with the timeline on getting that done this year?
Yeah, we're I think you've got it on item G there, Aviation Week. We're slating to start that work after that event. Our contractor is trying to work his schedule in that time frame. He's got other projects, but we're trying to fit it in to start sometime after that. That's close enough to the 4th of July. I would almost suggest we start after the 4th of July because that's a big weekend for your airport and we'll have runway closures.
That's
So
correct.
we need to consider that. We're also talking to them about their work schedule because if they can work 4/10s, if you will, 4 days a week, then maybe we can have all the holes and everything buttoned up on Thursday. So you open your runway for the weekend, that type of thing.
What's the actual construction timeline? 2 weeks?
Oh, no. It's several months. There's a lot of
Several
work.
months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I won't.
So that's the absolutely. So we got to be careful with this because we can't shut you down for operations. So we'll need to know also if there's a summer schedule for your commercial flights.
Okay. And there is.
There is, yeah. There will be.
Okay.
We need to work that in, absolutely. So, and so some options there are, I suggest we get maybe we have a meeting at the airport with the contractor, you all, the county. Let's go through this stuff.
I agree. You want to set it up? Let's
I
do
will.
it.
Yeah,
Thank
it'll be a few weeks, but yeah, not next 2 weeks, but after that, yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Anything else, Mike?
No, sir. I think that's all I have. Oh, item E, we had sent our agreement back. I assume it's in process, and I just didn't know if there's any questions or comments on that.
Yeah, we don't, but
Thank you. Item D?
Excuse me, I had a question for Mike.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
What's the status of the hangar RFP?
Good point. So we're putting a containment pad into the hangar structure. I am working through some grading issues if we rotate the hangars around with the end of that north end of that existing taxi lane. Trying to minimize asphalt pavement. So I've done some iterations on that, trying to get that where the doors face east, and we're minimizing asphalt. But if we have to, trying to avoid, the problem is that taxiway drops in elevation as it goes north. So if we put a hangar, 4-unit hangar out there, I've got to make sure that people can get their aircraft in and out of that hangar off the taxiway without a tug, if you will. I mean, we got to minimize the slope. So that's the problem. So I'm trying to trying to work it, so it's taken some iterations on that. So we're trying to button up everything next week, get you guys some drawings, look at it. It'll have to go to the county to approve the advertisement for bids. So we plan on April getting that out to advertise. I note also on that, and I don't want to take up people's time, but the state aviation, the grant extension did go through for the expiration date on the grant to next, I think it's May 31st of 25. So that was approved and everything. I think that's in place.
Thank you.
Do you mean May 31st of 26?
Yes, sir. What did I say? 25?
Yes, sir.
I apologize. 26. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What I was thinking, not what I said. Sorry.
Mike, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mike, I have one more question. The hangar door replacement, does that still need to go out to RFP? Does that need? to
It's all in the same construction package.
Okay, all right.
The
so
hanger, the door replacement, and the containment pad. We figured that would really attract some bidders, fair size work. We're doing concrete for hangar floors, so we're doing concrete for containment pad, plus the putting doors on new hangar and putting a new door on the existing hangar. We thought that was all buttoned up in one project.
Okay, so that's, I want to be clear then. So I can't have I can't have one contractor out on the hangar and the other out on the doors if we put it under the one proposal, correct? Where this is one company that's going to come in and try to bid all this.
One general contractor, right?
Okay, all right. Okay,
All right.
all right.
Airport report.
So almost last but not least for old business, fuel farm, we talked a little about, so I think we addressed that. Everybody should be good. If you have questions, I'll try to respond. I think we covered that. I want to let you know that we have an emergency response plan that's being built out. It's circling right now through our chiefs, both our fire and police chiefs. It's a very detailed plan. It's going to meet federal standards for emergency response. In all of that discussion, and even yesterday, we were talking with Air Methods, Air Ambulance Service, just looking at all the properties. It's circling now around the balloon event, and I'll get to that in a minute, but it's serving the purpose of the overall larger plan that needs to be in place. So if any of you out there have any questions, thoughts, ideas about it, please, send them forward to me. This plan, I think, is excellent where it is right now. We have a team of about 7 people that are working on all of this. So I'm very excited about that. I know it's been something that should have been in the policy procedure manual for the airport for many years. So that's kind of exciting to get. I'm going to transfer over to the balloon fly-in. A little hiccup that might turn into a major hiccup. We'll see how it goes. And the fact that Fraser McPhee, for those you don't know, who was leading the fly-in portion, especially of the balloon, has resigned from the committee and from the role that he had. We're going to miss him greatly. Appreciate all of the groundwork that he put in. However, that leaves a vacancy for someone to pick that up, working with Lawrence Davis, working with Brandon Fraser, Prather at the Village Tourism. And so right now, where we're sitting is within the next basically 21 days. If we cannot begin to see hard on paper, yes, we're going to show up for the fly-in that weekend, that part of the event will be put off until the next year, and we'll just have a balloon festival. It's unfortunate, but doing this portion is a bit of a job. So that's a sad thing. So just, if you got people out there you're thinking, or you got a neighbor you want to volunteer them, right, Bert? Then we'll be looking for that person. We still want it. The entire team wants this to happen, but it will take a lead on this. who has bandwidth to pull it off. But as of yet, we don't have any teams, any people that have said, yes, I'm bringing my airplane for that fly-in date and parking it there. So that's the reason why that 21-day window is in effect right now. In regards to, Mike, we'll probably have to have some more conversation about this. No matter what, when we start the prep for parking for the balloons, land will be moved in the area that we're talking about, the hangars. So the village is going to be moving that land with land moving equipment. So we need to have some interaction between your firm and the village on what that's going to look like for slope, grade, whatever issues that you will have. We intend to push double the size of the parking lot. So a lot of that dirt's to the south end that mounds up and goes. We're going to actually want to flatten that area out. Part of that's for parking. Part of that is for getting our private land leases so folks can build hangars in. So we're trying to combine things so we're not doing double the work. Initially, they were going to go clear land across Highway 434 and have people walking across 434 in for the balloons, but it appears now everybody's in agreement that if we can, we're going to move land around, flatten stuff out. But if we're going to do that, we, again, don't want to double work. So,
yeah, we'll talk about that. I think you're talking about south of the existing area.
yes, sir. Right. Exactly where it was drawn out for the
Future. Yeah. Okay. And we'll need to talk about that because there'll be some FAA filings on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we want to make sure that it's done right this time. Yeah, it's just a good way to go. The other thing too is that part of that emergency plan right now, just so you know, we're looking at actually cutting a very rudimentary road down the fence line to the old terminal, which will just be a bulldozed 2-lane that will allow ingress into the main airport for balloon folk, and then egress out that back area. Again, that's going to be moving dirt. So that's just part of the initiative going on. As you can see, what we're planning for is not yesterday's and last year's balloons, but future balloons. So we really want to get this dialed in for events. One of the other things too that I'm excited about, this past week in a meeting, it came up that the fire department needed a place to do CPR training for their folks. And we're going to use the airport. And then the cat got out of the bag that, why don't use the airport? We have a big hangar. Why can't we have smaller events in there when needed? For instance, at the balloons, that hangar is going to turn into a triage place. It'll be clean with ambulances sitting in there. Shoot, we're even going to have an Air Methods helicopter sitting on deck during the balloon races now, or the balloon festival. So, a lot of really positive stuff about the use of the airport where it's not sitting there stale. So I was very excited to hear that. And now folks around the village can understand that if need be, there's a place to go. In fact, if we have fire, we have another, God forbid, another Calf Canyon, Hermit's Peak event, we have a place to put people that may need to evac. So that leads me to the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'll open it up for questions. On the 9th, at 9 o'clock next Friday morning at the hangar, we will have a crew of folk to clean a hangar out. Anybody wants to join us? So all of the stuff that's been stored there for decades that needed to be going to trash bin, the village is coming over with trucks and people, and we'll be hauling stuff off to get that finished up. That'll actually create one more space to park an airplane. So we're excited about that. What else? One last thing, go ahead.
Lawrence, do you have anything else on the celebration of the Aviation Week?
No, I do not have anything else.
Okay. You have something else before I move on to the?
Just, one last thing, I'm giving a shout out to, Du Bois King, to Guy in particular, coming out for 2 days last week. I drank through a fire hose for 2 days. There's so much, that we discovered and planned, and I really appreciate that. It might take a month to sort it all out, but, thanks to your guys' firm, that, it was great having him out here. It tells me, seeing someone coming from all the way across the United States to sit at Angel Fire Airport and be as excited about the potential that we all have had for several years and decades, to see somebody else have that same enthusiasm is really encouraging. But there's a mountain of work to do, so, thank you to them. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. New business, if I do this correctly, it's my understanding that Bert Lehman has decided to resign from secretary,
Yes, but
but not from anything else.
that's correct.
He is going to still continue to do his full other workload, but we will accept his resignation from the secretary duty at this particular time, because I'm in charge today. I'm going to move that into the next meeting for Mr. Davis to handle the secretary.
Oh, you volunteered?
No, I didn't.
So I actually volunteered to pick up the secretarial duties.
You did?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah,
well
so
then,
we won't put it on Lauren.
shoot. we
Look, he's
will-
smiling now.
We will take that right, we will handle that problem right here, then. You are the new secretary, welcome.
Yeah, that would have been hard.
Thank
this-
you very
this-
much.
Okay.
I don't know that we have any other business. Is there anybody else that would like to say anything that's online? Go ahead, Glenn. I can't hear you, understand you. Try it again.
It looks like he's typing in the chat.
Perfect.
What is the date of the hangar cleanup? It looks like April 4th, if you're saying if it's a week from.
It's next Friday, yes.
April 4th.
Yeah.
April 4th. Okay,
9 o'clock. And Glenn, your area is in particular focus. Just so you know.
good. Next meeting date is, April 10th. If there's,
It's available 10 a.m. I said it's available 10
10
a.m.
a.m., yes. Be no further business? Well, then we'll end this meeting.
Thanks, folks. And we'll.